I think we're afraid of love because we don't trust. A child is crying in the night. The mother gets up, takes the child in her arms, and tells the child, "Don't cry. Everything's going to be all right." Was that mother lying?
Hello, everyone. This is Heartbeat, the podcast, featuring insight and teaching from the more than 50 years of work done by Landon Saunders. On today's episode, Landon takes us inside a discussion of fear and the impact that it can have in our lives. With Fear, the Storm Within, here's Landon Saunders.
The wise man in the storm prays not for safety from danger, but for deliverance from fear. It is the storm within which endangers him, not the storm without. And in this visit, we're going to talk about that storm within. In this thunderstorm we call life, you can respond in one of two ways. Either you can let fear paralyze you, cower you, send you into hiding, or you can look at the road ahead and realize that the lightning is only helping light your way. As Roosevelt said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. When fear lays hold of you, you have to take some action against it, and this means you must find something with which to fight it. And in this world, there is only one thing more powerful than fear, and that's love. Love is stronger than fear. Come at fear with anything less than love, and it will use your energy to throw you, as in judo. So you have nothing to fear, right? Wrong. The only thing we have to fear is our fear of love. You can't go very far in your journey through life if you're locked up with fear, because fear blinds you. You stumble along with your white cane, and when you come up against a wall, it stops you, and you attack it to tear it down brick by brick, but it doesn't work. The invisible hand of your own feelings of failure and inferiority build it up again, higher and thicker than before. But if you've traded your fear for love, there is no wall that can stand against you. I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is that since you learned your fear of love, you can unlearn it. The bad news is it won't be easy, and you may not want to give up your fear. On my left arm, there's a small circular scar. It's from a vaccination. The day I got it, my dad told me, "Now, son, taking this shot will protect you from getting something awful." Well, maybe so, but I got something awful anyway. I got loneliness. And there's no needle in the world that can keep you from catching loneliness or cure it after you've got it. Loneliness, when it comes in large doses, is a signal from your life that you may be afraid of love. One day, Charlie Brown went up to Lucy's lemonade stand, the one with the sign, "Psychiatrist 5 cents." And Charlie asked her, "Can you cure loneliness?" She answered, "I can cure anything." Charlie looked down and said, "Can you cure deep down, bottom of the well, black forever loneliness?" The exasperated Lucy replied, "All for the same nickel?" Loneliness is a signal to us that we were made for relationship, but it's more than that. Loneliness can be a time to get ready to respond to another human being. In other words, loneliness is part of your humanity. It's life, and life isn't something to seek a cure for. Life is to live. Now that I've come to realize this, when I'm lonely, I've learned not to panic. It's part of what it means to be me. I don't have to try to cover up the way I'm feeling by watching TV or some other diversion. I live my loneliness. I enter into it and try to be worthy of it, and when I do, sometimes it becomes solitary refinement. I believe that developing the courage to face and transform our loneliness is a prerequisite to having a deep relationship with another person. Realizing this, you're ready to use your loneliness as a bridge instead of letting it become another wall of fear. You say, "I'm alone." Someone answers, "I'm alone too." And suddenly a bridge is thrown between two people, not between two pockets of fear, but between two alonenesses. A poet once talked about the love that consists in this, that two solitudes protect and border and salute each other. Max Lerner has written, "I suppose love is whatever breaks and bridges the terrible pathos of separateness of human beings from each other. It doesn't mean much, however, unless it exists between two people who are uniquely themselves." Too many people, I believe, misread the signal of loneliness. They think it means they just aren't worth loving. This leads to all kinds of distortions. People are afraid that if the other person knew what they were really like, they would reject them, and so they decide to package themselves. Instead of creating a self, they create an image, a package. Fear takes control of them. They're so anxiety-prone, they actually begin to believe that if they can just buy the right products, or if they can just become the right product, they'll hit the jackpot of love. This is why so much that calls itself love is just fear dressed up to the nines. And so my polished image begins to relate to your image, but behind the two masks are two lonely people who never make contact. Fear masquerades as love, but in reality it's all appearance. Fear breeds fantasies. Fear says, reality is a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Love says, the world and other people are only real when you are. Love is rooted in concrete reality. It's you responding to the real, live people and to the real, live situations of your life without playing mind games. Fear says, hide who you are and what you really feel. Love says, respond with all that you are to the person and situation you face in the moment. To become a real person means to be someone who responds from inside, not from the need to keep up some outward image. Fear says, manipulate. Get what you want from the other person. Be anyone they want you to be. Make the other person over to fit your own image. But love, it demands sincerity.
Landon will be back in less than 30 seconds to dive a little deeper into this idea of sincerity. But first, we want to remind you that there are additional materials available from Landon Saunders, and to learn about them and access them absolutely free of charge, all you have to do is visit the website thisisheartbeat.com. That's thisisheartbeat.com. Now, let's get back to Landon.
The word sincere comes from two Latin words which mean without wax. When they were building the city of Rome, unscrupulous quarry masters would rub wax into the marble to fill the gaps and cover the flaws. And after the building was up and the heat melted the wax away, the true nature of the stone was revealed. And so the Roman Senate declared that all building materials should be sincere, without wax. When you build a relationship, if you want it to be solid, if you want it to last, it must be sincere. Which means, first of all, you must be sincere with yourself. Without personal sincerity, we're left with fear and evasion. This is why we have so many short-lived relationships. It's because they're built on fear and evasion. Instead of gaining depth, you grab one relationship, cover up, it falls apart, and you grab another one. The mind-forged manacles of fear and the ingenious ways we devise to evade that fear. It's like we've set a trap to catch the rat and stop the race, but instead, we only trap ourselves. That revolving wire cage in your head, you can open it and let the beasts of fear and evasion out. The lock, is on the inside. You can stop manipulating other people, and you can stop being manipulated, but that means you'll have to learn to trust. I think we're afraid of love because we don't trust. A child is crying in the night. The mother gets up, takes the child in her arms, and tells the child, don't cry, everything's going to be all right. Was that mother lying? How do you live now? Do you live with a sense of trust that all will go well? Or do you live with the mistrust born of fear? Love is an open-eyed trust. It sees things as they are, as bad as they are, no rose-colored glasses, because love is rooted in reality, and it still finds a basis for hope. Love doesn't protect us from getting wounds, but love heals the wounds, while fear lets the wounds cripple us and disfigure our personality. Love is confident. Fear is insecure. Love lets you be your own person, strong, autonomous, independent. Fear makes you dependent. Fear means you're stuck. You're shut up inside yourself. That's what Alan did. You could describe Alan as a little country cut off the north, south, east, and west by Alan. What Alan hasn't realized is the terrible loss of life that is caused when a human being puts a keep out sign across their life. You see, Alan had a little boy that needs to be loved. And sometimes you can see that little boy look up into his daddy's face and he sees all those good things in him. But it's like his daddy is a broken candy machine. You can see the candy and you can put your money in, but nothing comes out. It's pretty hard to grow up when your daddy's out of order. Some people, in an effort to justify their fear, see love as a compromise of their strength. It's not a compromise. Whenever a person escapes fear and begins to love, it's victory. And in the course of our lives, even a single act of love can tip the balance. When a person is wrapped up in himself, he makes a pretty small package, certainly too small to live in. It's right to start with yourself, but it's not for you to be the aim of your life. It's right to comprehend yourself, but not to be preoccupied with yourself. But how do you get rid of fear? Where do you begin? You begin with forgiveness. As you think about your past, you must forgive your parents. You must forgive them if they taught you to fear. You must forgive them for any way they failed to teach you to love. And you must forgive yourself for mistakes you made with your children. Why is forgiveness so necessary to human growth? It's because fear and anxiety can't stand up to forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful things in the world. Fear and worry melt before it. Now, this kind of openness to the past can heal a lot of old wounds. Fear likes to take you into the past and go through yesterday's garbage, turn it over and over. Fear likes to take you away from the present into the anxiety of the future. To break fear's grip, you must start living in the present. Love is always here and now. As Zorba the Greek said, I've stopped thinking all the time of what happened yesterday and stopped asking myself, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's happening today, this minute? That's what I care about. I say, what are you doing at this moment, Zorba? I'm sleeping. Well, sleep well. What are you doing at this moment, Zorba? I'm working. Well, work well. What are you doing at this moment, Zorba? I'm kissing a woman. Well, kiss her well, Zorba, and forget all the rest while you're doing it. There's nothing else on earth, only you and her. Get on with it. Zorba's philosophy doesn't state the whole of life, but it does state an important lesson. The present is important and must be experienced wholly and completely. Yes, love says, get on with your life. Fear says, hold back. Love says, take the risk of being yourself because that's all you can give another person. Fear says, package yourself like a product, which is like putting a pork chop around the baby's neck to get the dog to play with it. The person who's concerned with their image is mostly concerned with what the other person thinks about them, not the other person. Fear is self-conscious. Love is conscious of the other person. To throw fear out, here's what you got to do. You have to know that you're lovable, even if at the moment there's no one there telling you that. I want to tell you, you're worth loving. You've got to believe that, and you have to reach out to another person. We're all travelers. We're always going out to meet someone. When you're born, when you're born, you were going out to meet Mom. After spending 9 months getting the inside story, you were ready for the rest of the story. There was a welcoming committee, and you were a lonely, scared little stranger, but they did their very best to make you feel at home. And from that very first cry, you were waging a war against fear and for love. You said, please touch, please hold me, be with me, love me. You needed someone to reassure you, to comfort you, and to be tender with you. Your whole being from the moment you were born was organized for the giving and receiving of love. But at first everything was a little frightening. But you were given comfort and assurance. Those were your first lessons in love, and you were able to learn how to love only as you've been taught. You were also taught to fear, and for most of us, we reached a point in our life when fear began to take control. It went beyond its positive side, which makes us aware of danger, to becoming a controlling tyrant. According to a Greek legend, there was once a monster who asked travelers to answer this riddle. Now, what animal in the morning goes on 4 feet, at noon on 2, and in the evening on 3? When the travelers failed to answer correctly, they were killed and devoured. Can you answer the riddle? Well, here's the answer. Man. In the morning of childhood, he goes on all 4s, crawling on hands and knees. At noontime, as a young adult, he walks erect on 2 legs. And finally, in the evening of age, he hobbles with a cane, 3 legs. Neil Young, in his song called Old Man, says, Old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you. I need someone to love me the whole day through. The riddle of human life is becoming clearer. Love casts out fear.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode on how to deal with the storm that often rages within. For more information on materials that are available from Landon Saunders, including a weekly newsletter, The Joyful Jumpstart, designed to get your week off on the right foot, simply visit our website, thisisheartbeat.com. All of these materials are made possible by Friends of Heartbeat, and there is no cost or obligation. Until next time, this is Heartbeat, the podcast.